Right, we are back in the booth and we're going to be doing a DT10 knockoff. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a base coat of House of Color white on. Turn the fan on and we'll go ahead and get started. The fan really extracts these paint fumes right on out. You don't even smell them, which is very nice. This phone is really close to me. I'm gonna move it on up some. I like to get a good coat on this, and it keeps it from chipping, and it dries really fast. So I'm just going to take some acetone and rinse the gun out. I'm going to let it sit for just a second and let it dry. Then I'm going to come down here and clean up some of this white paint that's spilled. Put a paper towel down to run my stencil on. Well, the good thing is if it does fall on the booth, you can take some acetone, just wipe it up. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Really works out really good. I've really enjoyed the booth. I have, like I said, I have a 24-inch and this is a 36, but it really has been enjoyable to paint in. It really has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my guns. I'm going to go back to my PS 771. And I'm going to cut this pressure down a little bit. So it's on about 15. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this small stencil, which is the Ultimate Craw from Lure Build, and we'll take this out, move this out of the way for right now. We'll get our tape roll because I still hadn't brought my sponge over, which is not too terribly bad. And we'll get some black, golden carbon black, shake it up, get a little bit in the gun. Make sure I'm on the camera where you can see me. I tend to get off the camera sometimes. I'm trying to still work on my angles. I've got my GoPro going. I got my cell phone going. I'm just trying to come up with a good solution to get better angles on these videos. I've had trouble with the GoPro overheating about halfway through a video. I'm not real happy about that, but so what we're going to do, I've done the same thing to this stencil that I did to the bigger one. I've just cut it out where it'll sit flat when I'm doing it, and I think it just works better because, well, this bait is a kind of a funny shape, so you're gonna have to, what I found is I do the back side of the bait first and then I kind of adjust my stencil for the other half. So we'll take that off, and you can see that really came out just about perfect. I'm gonna do a little bit on this back end. It didn't, I wanna make sure I get this. There we go. And this thing has really got a dip in this DT10, so you're gonna have to kind of do half. And then kind of straighten it out to go up to the front. And that turned out really good. I'll pick it up and let you see it. And now what I'll do is I'm gonna get it at the right angle, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this other portion of the stencil on here. I didn't bring my scissors over. I usually cut the tape on the bill. It's kind of sticking out everywhere. I want to make sure this is done. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hit that eye. And I think what I'm going to do on this is extend these up a little bit, just so they'll look better going up just a little bit higher. And they do. They look a lot better. That one I'm actually good with. So now what I'll do is I'm going to flip it over, and that's what we got. Cut that off. We're not spraying solvent base. So what we'll do the same on this side. Just flatten that tape down so it'll sit flat. And all I'm going to do is flip it over. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to line it up and do the first half of the stencil. I've just found out that's the easiest way to do it. There you go. And then you can just lay this down and just do half, and then because of the way it's just a drastic, the stencil's not that drastic, so I'll do about half of it, and then I'll stop, and then I'll just come back and lay it flat where it is, and then it'll just finish it up. And there you go. So then we'll go ahead and let's see, we need to take those up a little bit. We'll do this section first. Go up a little higher with that. Okay. Oops, I dropped it. Let me get my stencil. That wasn't good. Didn't want to drop that on the ground. And I've got a paper towel here. I'll just dab it off and just make sure it's clean. And it is. Get pulled back up here. And we'll go ahead and hit this eye. And I'm gonna put it back in my holder where I can actually spin it around where I want to. This holder's a little bit different. It wants to pop up in the front, so I got to kind of set it, hold it, and pop it. So we'll take these up a little bit higher. Now that I've got it in the holder, I can lock it down. It's just a little easier for me. And I can just line it really back up any way I want to. And I'll just do one at a time. There we go. And I'll go to the next one, because it just kind of did it kind of faint, and I wanted a little bit darker than that. There we go. And we'll take this one up just a little bit. It doesn't have to go up too much farther. Okay. And we'll set that down. That is the ultimate crawl. This is a small one, like a 2.5. So we'll take our creature feature stencil and come around with this, and let me just get this dry tip off. When I'm starting and stopping like this, it loves to get dry tip. I don't really want to go below the shell with this. Just get a little bit. I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I'm going to leave a little bit of the white. Then I'll come down. Let that sit for a minute. Then I'm going to take the little bit bigger one. And what I like to do is, I like to kind of go over just the top shoulder part with the bigger one. Just give it a different look. Get a little bit more on the back here. And what I'll do is I'll spin it over and we'll get this side. Then I'm gonna paint the top totally black, because I am gonna use some color shift on this. Don't want to come up too high, because I'm going to use the bigger one. And I'm spraying this with a 0.818 needle. It's my Craw 771. Okay. And we'll take the bigger one and we'll come up the shoulders with it. Flip it around. And one tip I've done with these stencils is, one side I've cut all the plastic off so I can lay it up against the bait. So that was done with both of these. So that's kind of a neat tip to have. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to paint the whole top black, because we are going to shoot color shift over this. I don't want it running down over my detail work, so we'll just do this lightly and let it dry, even if we have to put another coat on it. And that's what you get. It's a really cool looking bait. We'll go ahead and do the bottom. It doesn't always line up perfect, you know. I try to do the best I can with it. So what I'll do with this is, I usually use the hook tie as my centering point, and I'll just center these on that. and that turns out really good. And then I always take this stencil and kind of do the chest. I kind of like the bigger modeled stencil for this section. Just, I think it looks better, but you can use whatever you want. So we're gonna let that dry, and we'll try to hit this top again because it's kind of, it looks a little bit loose. And we'll let that dry. All right, now that this is dried, we are gonna shoot some different color shifts on this. We're actually gonna go over it with a Green Stuff World Red Goblin, and then I'm gonna follow it up with some All Clad Ruby Red Candy. That's what this crawl is gonna be. It's gonna be my Ruby Red crawl. It's a very cool color. And I'm just going to got my eyes just to set them over here. So when we're done, I can get everything handled. So we're going to switch guns, and I'm going to spray this out of my HPCH, which it's got solvent-proof backing in it, so I don't mess the seals up. But this is a really cool color, so we're going to shake this up good. These paints actually they come from Spain, so I live in the States, so when I order them, it takes a couple of weeks to get here. But it gives it a kind of a red gold color. It's very neat. I kind of like it. I haven't used a whole lot of those. So what we'll do is we'll go over the top, and you can see immediately it's changing to the red gold color. And I'll let it run down the sides a little bit, and I'll hit the eye, and then I just run up the shell pattern. And then I'll come down and hit just over the lines. I'll leave the white. And you can see it gives it a very neat red color shift, Red Goblin. So we're going to let that dry for just a minute. And then we'll clean this gun out. Excuse me. So the reason that I just don't use the Red Goblin is the Ruby Red Candy from All Clad is very, very clear, transparent. Gives it a nice, shiny look. I like to fish red. This is going in my tackle box, so that's what I'm going to be doing with it. So what we'll do is we'll just dry it off with the airbrush. This will definitely give it a good contrasting red to this red gold color shift. This will be a really good fish catching color. So what we'll do is we'll grab a little pipette. I think I've showed you these before. I get these on Amazon. I don't like pouring these bottles. They don't have a cap. So I just shake them up good. They come with a BB in them. They're very airbrush friendly paints. We're gonna turn our fan back on because you don't want to breathe this. So we'll open that on up, keep it on the paper so we don't get it all over everything. And I'll bring the airbrush to me, and we'll get a little bit in here. You're not going to need a whole lot. I usually always put way too much in the gun. And I'll hold this pipette just in case I didn't get enough. And on about 15, what I'll do is I'll just go over the top, and you can actually see it. It just darkens it. It gives it that dark ruby red look. We'll hit the eyes a little bit. I don't want to take all the gold out of it, so I'll hit a little bit on the sides. It just gives it a, it's transparent, so really it's not going to be bad. It just definitely gives it a twist of color on this. Keep hitting my camera. See if we can slide it back where you can really see it. We'll let that dry just for a minute. That is the good thing about the solvent-based paints. They dry extremely fast. And the only place I'm going to put it now is I'm going to put a little bit more on the top. I want the top to be very ruby. It just kind of gives it a really neat look. Give it just a second. It pretty much dries when it hits it. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. You can actually see it. I can see it in the camera. The top is just killer ruby. And these eyes I'm fixing to put in it are going to be really cool. It just kind of sets the bait off. It's the eyes are kind of a jet black with a red ring, kind of a ruby colored ring in them. I got those at Barlow's. I don't buy a lot from Barlow's, but I play around and buy eyes, extra eyes from places. And it gives it a really cool finish. So we'll let that dry just for a second. We take these gloves off so we can get these eyes in. It won't take it long to dry. I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and hit it with the other airbrush. I got an Eclipse over here. I'll just run it on and just dry it off. I don't like to heat set candy at all. I'd rather just put cool air on it. I've had better luck with it. Right, so we are dry, and I've taken the tape off the bill. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and put these eyes in. These don't have to be glued. They're self-adhesive eyes. So we're just going to line it up, get it on. And you can see they match like a champ. So we'll flip that over, lock it down. Get another eye. And just get it in here. Put these up. I'll take it out and let you see it. So this is the Ruby Red Craw in a DT10 from Lure Build. You can get these blanks from Jimmy. It's a very cool pattern, and his Ultimate Craw stencil is the one we used in the video. The eyes came from Barlow's. So go check him out. Hit the like button, hit the bell notification so you know when I have upcoming videos. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support. And like I always say, I'll catch you next time. Thanks.